With Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak coming to an end, it's been a journey, alright? The sunset finally sets down on this magnificent game, so I thought what better way to start off the end of a series than by doing a tier list of what really makes Monster Hunter Monster Hunter. The weapons, baby. You already know. So, the thing is with Monster Hunter weapons, you always get like a tier list of like, well, this one is definitively the best, blah blah blah. No, we're not gonna do that. I will be giving it points for what is the most meta thing right now, so what I'm going to be looking at a bunch of tier lists to make sure things are meta, so that it will get 1 point, but there's 2 other points. Actually, we'll do 3 other points. One is fun, because that is the most important thing when it comes to weapon, and every weapon, to a degree, is fun. It depends on the player, of course, but it gets there. And, of course, you have your own opinions, and if you want to drop your own, drop in the comments to what you think is better. You can even make your own tier list, but like I said, just drop in one of your comments what you think should have been changed, blah, blah, blah. But another thing I want to go into is their silk moves, because that makes another big part of what weapons are in this whole expansion was their silk moves. Changed the whole way you played said weapons, and it really was something to get into. And finally, my personal opinion, this one is just what I have experienced throughout the time of these weapons being in existence, and what I personally think could have been better or whatever. So I thought the best way to start this out was to do the greatest of weapons, of course, the greatsword. So, the greatsword overall, once again, if you're playing this weapon, you were clearly compensating for something, but, like, let's get into, like, what it was right now. Currently, the greatsword, in my opinion, is still one of the funnest weapons in the game. It takes a little more thinking. You have big swords, you bonk things really hard, but we're all compensating for something, because you all know what we're really here for, and those are goddamn big numbers. And so, just from the big numbers standpoint, this weapon is definitely S tier. As for the meta right now, I will get more into that, but it's actually quite decent, and going through like actual speedrunner things, goes hard. It's definitely at least A tier from what I've seen so far, and just the damage part of it. So just as a fun standpoint review, and just overall the weapon itself, it is most definitely up there with the greats. Get it, great sword. but once again, it's still that good as a weapon. Back to the board, after copious amounts of research of my time, I have seen all possible outcomes, and of course have obviously watched multiple videos, but I actually did watch the video part, and I went online, the definitive Sunbreak tier list online, and according to most, the greatsword does slap. It is a A-tier weapon at most at the time, and it brings up some pretty good numbers with the updates from Sunbreak itself, giving it that good job dominating boost from all silkbind moves. But of course we have our point system that I spoke of. So of course, being A tier as it is, it's pretty good. Being S tier in my opinion for fun, and of course just being a fun weapon overall just because of how much mobility it has and all that, I'll give it double A in that. So we'll put it in the A tier. Definitely a great weapon. It is there, the greatest of weapons. But I think overall it is, just from a damage point of view, because it isn't that double S that I've seen a lot of people talk about, I'm going to put it in that A spot. And we'll get into the next weapon, of course, the weeaboo sword itself, the Longsword. So let's get into that. Okay, to start this off, obviously the Longsword has been treated quite kindly by the Rise devs, so much so that it's kind of disgusting. But to be honest, it is a fun weapon from just a standpoint of view, and of course the amount of silkbind love it has gotten over the course of the entire span of the Sunbreak career and of Rise has really made this weapon a phenomenal one, to say at least. With a wide span of moves, it definitely is up there on the damagers, and if not the best for damage overall. And with fun, I have got to say, this thing really makes me feel like the god of weeaboo thing. I feel like it's just Demon Slayer. Okay, that's what it makes me feel like. There are better ones. I'm gonna say which better one right now is Bleach. Bleach is much better than Demon Slayer. If you don't agree with me, you're just wrong anyways. But I will say, it is a beast of a monster, of a weapon, and we'll get right into that right now. And my speculations were correct. God damn, the Longsword is up there, and it is arguably one of the best, of course, behind the 2 bow gunners things, but if you use bow guns, you're kind of just disgusting overall anyways. So for a weapon that is a real weapon, unlike those 2, and for fun, I will say, Longsword has all 3 categories down. Fun as overall, it has multiple silkbind moves that all each give a different playstyle that make it an absolute phenomenal weapon to play, and its gameplay, just for me and my own experience, has been absolutely phenomenal. That's a double S, baby. And of course, the damage, it is a speedrunner weapon. It gets all 3, that's right, it goes straight up into S tier. There's not really another spot to put it, and I feel like I'll be condone a war criminal if I put it anywhere but S, especially because of everything going out right now, and I've only seen good things for speedrunners. And I've watched another video, and I will put his name in the comments below, but I've watched 2 of his videos about his updates throughout the thing, and I will get more into that in several seconds here on the next weapon, because this becomes important for the next one. Because, of course, the next one is the dual blades, and we're going to go right into that one right now. After the dual blades, let's be honest, one of the most fantastic gameplay weapons overall. Azrael fun, it makes you feel like a goddamn Naruto character. And, of course, with the Silkbind moves itself, it has become a beast overall over the time frame of Sunbreak. With Sunbreak's new expansion, it's become better and better over time, especially with the new armor sets, making this weapon overall one of the better ones, surprisingly. I've never seen dual blades usually. Usually it's more like, of course, most of every Monster Hunter game is mostly dominated by heavy bowgun and light bowgun, but this time it seems to be that dual blades is actually standing a chance, and not only standing a chance, but almost competing. With an absolutely astounding amount of speedrunner times, dual blades is definitely something to be spoken upon. So according to most of my research now, Dual Blades has been an absolute monster, even more so than my speculations thought. Dual Blades is actually one of the few weapons that most people see as double S, or what I like to call the god tier of all things, making it seem like an absolute beast of a weapon. So it already has 1 point in that category. But after the new update with the thing where you pull yourself into the monster, oh boy, it is up there. So I'm going to do the second weapon in a row to get that double S treatment. And of course, with my own vote being triple S, giving it that beautiful S tier all the way, Insect Glaive. However, I would like to say that I'm going to be quite biased for the fun part, since this is my main. Like I said, all fun is perspective. I think this weapon is better, and you might disagree with me, but in my opinion, this is just, I'm going to say it right now, it is S tier, because it's all I play. It's one of my favorite weapons. Definitely, it's fun, okay? If you haven't tried it, try it. I've made a video before explaining why we need more of us, because I barely see. Okay, so with more research, of course, I have concluded, at least, that the Insect Glaive is a funny weapon, to say the least. At least in my opinion, it gets a point for that S in fun. Now, for the actual, like, the Silkbind moves, it is actually a hard one, to say the least. Because, let me say, Rise was not so kind to the Insect Blade in the beginning. It got a little bit better in Sunbreak, so I'm going to also give it not a perfect, because for me to give you a perfect score for Silkbind, it would have to be good in both Rise and Sunbreak. That is the criteria here that we have to meet. And since it didn't have that, it is just not there. And I'm going to be very hard on this weapon because it is my own weapon. Now, part 2 of that is Sunbreak was absolutely phenomenal. We got 3 new moves that I enjoyed, and the other one was kind of meh. But like I said, overall it wasn't perfect, so I'm going to give that also an A, fun for S. And of course, the actual tier listing, if we go from the video, it is A tier. And if we go from online rankings of what we see for speedrunning, I would have to say that is not an S or an A, but more of a B tier. But because of what I've seen personally, I'm going to bump it up to that A tier, because let's be honest, you can outdo that damage, and because of the damage I've seen, it is outperforming some of the weapons. To the hammer, arguably the most fun weapon in the game. It is just that fun. If you've never played hammer, we get a full slugger build and just go off. It is just bonking over and over again. It is truly that weapon. It is so much fun. If you've not played hammer, give it a shot. I'm telling you right now, you will enjoy it. Especially with, just try it. Slugger, like I said, get like a decent build and put slugger on it and you will have fun. It is very simple to play, very fun to play, and overall it's pretty good. As for its standings in Sunbreak, Sunbreak did not treat this thing with a lot of love, to be honest. It has fallen down. We will get more into that as soon as I get into the actual placement of the said weapon. But as I said, as for fun, it is a banger of a weapon. Literally. These puns go hard. With my combined research once again, it would seem that hammer, once like I was saying, was not treated so nicely in Sunbreak. However, it is performing at a very low level competitively as a speedrunner point of view, and it would seem just overall with a weapon damage point of view of what has happened. It is nearing the bottom of the tier list in just that standard. Right off the bat, it is a B when it comes to, sorry, a C. Yeah, let me just check this again. Let me look at my spreadsheet here for damage and speed and all this stuff. Yes, sir. It is a C for that. However, let's get into the Silkbind moves. Silkbind moves, absolutely phenomenal. They gave us the ability to do that run thing from world and spin in the air whenever we want. That right there just shows to show how good of a Silkbind move they are. That's all I gotta say. Point said. permanent bonking while being a Beyblade. Ain't no way you can say that's bad. And for fun, like I said, funnest weapon in the game. If you've not tried it, play it. It is so much fun. The amount of fun you have just bashing something's head in, it's just phenomenal. You don't know the power of anything until you have played this bonking machine of a hammer. But like I said, with my definitive thing and my little bit of buffering, because you know I gotta get a bit, I am going to give it the B tier. For damage, it is not really there. However, for fun and what's it called, Silkbind moves, it absolutely solos. So I'm gonna give it that B tier because it just deserves it overall, and just for my hammer bros. Enter the Charge Blade, one of the most fun weapons if you can actually get into it. Like I said, this is a complicated weapon where it takes time to learn, I will say. Which for me to actually consistently start landing things, it took me a minute of time to get into the playstyle. But once you do, oh man, it feels good to hit things down with the might of Thor's hammer. It feels good. And of course, learning how to use files and all that stuff, and like maintaining a decent DPS is always a difficult thing. But once you get into it, I would have to say it is one of the more fun weapons. So I am going to be giving the benefit of the doubt and saying that it is an S tier and fun. As for Silkbind moves, once again, absolutely a banger for these new moves, especially when you go in the air and you slam it back down. That one is fantastic. But overall, we're going to get into the damage right now. Okay, and now into the Charge Blade damage. We're going to give it that podium of, you know, what is good on it. For fun, I'm going to have to say it is an S, because if you can actually get into this weapon, it is an absolute banger. I'm also biased because it's one of the 3 weapons I play religiously. Number 2 is Silkbind. I believe that it definitely had good Silkbind overall. But however, in the beginning of the game, I did not enjoy Silkbind as much, so I'm going to give that one not a point. But it is there. And of course, for damage, it is not competing out the light bowgun, and dual blades and longsword level. It is dealing damage, but not that much. So, as I would say, from Speedrunner's point of view and all this, I'm going to give it the A tier. It is definitely a solid weapon. It competes magnificently well and is absolutely a banger, fun time to play. I guarantee if you've not played it, you will have fun once you get to learn it, and it feels the greatest thing ever once you start landing things. With the next weapon, of course, the only right way to go, the Switch Axe. Welcome to the Swax, the best weapon in the game. I just love watching this thing go. It is definitely one of the more fun weapons in this game. Definitely up there. Absolutely amazing, fun weapon. If you haven't played it, play it. Like, I'm going to say this for almost every weapon because it's true. Most of the weapons are really fun. You just got to try them. Trust me, you will like the majority. And there's only about like 2 that I don't think is S tier fun because it's just the playstyle isn't there for me. But as I said, it is fun for everyone. Fun is perspective. So once again, go with it with a grain of salt. This is a fun weapon. Silkbind moves have treated this thing like an absolute god. They have absolutely loved it. And it is definitely there to behold. Definitely a good weapon to have. All the way through Silkbind, absolute amazing, everything. Even Sunbreak just made it even better. It just got better and better. And of course, the funnest thing about this weapon is the latching on your face and doing the absolute explosion mood. And now we get into what it is competitively. Okay, with the Switch Axe, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this right now. Switch Axe is performing at a level that is not up there, so we're going to give that down to an A. Fun is S, and of course that is S, so we're bumping this up right to A tier. It is definitely a contender of a weapon, absolutely a fun time if you like to get into it, and if you definitely would like this weapon if you like the Charge Blade. It's not the same, it's the Charge Blade, but like more agile. You still have to deal with files and all that stuff, so it's the same concept except it's not. It's confusing, but like they're both fun weapons. Try them out. And the next weapon I want to get into is something that I actually didn't used to like, the Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield is definitely one of the weapons that I used to not enjoy as much. With Sword and Shield originally being what I thought the beginner weapon, not much to it, and it was just basic gameplay, kind of like the good old-fashioned Zelda, click, 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 and you would get a combo off. And in my experience in World, it kind of felt like that. It was fun, but it wasn't as fun as it was in Rise and Sunbreak, where I felt like it gained its own sense of character. An absolutely new forged weapon that was absolutely fun to play. New weapons, of course, let me get into this right now. The Silkbind moves actually did this thing wonders. It actually became a weapon that was enjoyable, made it fun to play, and absolutely, like, just became that one weapon that I actually enjoyed. Made it be played a lot, 100 times over. And we'll get into the actual gameplay of it right now. Okay, and Sword and Shield wise, I'm gonna go for fun. With Sunbreak and Rise in account, it is S tier. Which I said, it's gonna be very hard to not get the S tier out of me for fun because I have enjoyed almost every weapon thoroughly. And for what's it called, Wirebugs, I have to say Wirebug overall has became just the absolute caption. So that's also S tier. And for gameplay, it is A. So we're just gonna bump it down to A tier because that's just where it belongs. Absolutely fun weapon to play. It's not outputting that great damage like the other two weapons are, but we'll get into those ones later. The bow, one of the more agile-esque weapons, absolutely fun to play. I'm going to set this off, definitely an S tier. And there's a lot of skill to it too, and of course Silkbind has treated this thing very kindly, to the point where I would say, damn. And to go overall, it is definitely gonna be good. It's a good weapon. Okay, it's very strong, very fun, all the way. Everything about it makes you feel like a hunter. Edging on that life and death is absolutely why I love the bow. And I'll just get into why it is good. I lied, by the way. The bow is absolutely making the S tier ranking for damage. It is absolutely there. There's not a reason why it shouldn't be there. It is outputting damages that is better, if not the same, as the other weapons. And of course, as for fun, it is there for me. So that's 2 points. And like I said, Silk Binding has treated this thing very kindly. So that's the triple right there. That's right, baby. It's an S tier. There's not really much for me to say about it other than that it is a very powerful weapon. And in the hands of someone that can actually use it properly, it becomes a weapon that surpasses the most. Before I get any further into the hunting horn, I just want to say, if you play this weapon, you are a God-sent gift to this earth. You are my hero. It is a weapon that is more of a team weapon, except in Rise and Sunbreak they made it more of a damage machine, but like, we'll get into that more later. It is definitely one of the more fun weapons once you get into it, surprisingly so. I didn't really like it in World, however, in Rise and Sunbreak that came back. It's the same as the Sword and Shield. Damage is up there, this playstyle is fun, absolutely banger, what's it called, Silkbind moves. So, like I said, we'll get into what I think it is. With damage being on not the low side, but more the average, just above it to be fair, it is still a wonderful weapon, making the hunting horn an absolutely god tier hammerlet-esque weapon to play, except you're a bard who is singing your enemies to death. I almost had a spasm there. However, what I will come down to is the Silkbind moves, which I have to say, its Silkbind moves are just not there. You cannot give that point. As for fun, it gets it, so we're going to give it that A tier treatment. Definitely a weapon to have here. I am going to rank these weapons of how I think are fun. More like this, I think, is... more like this, I would say. Is how I would motion it more. I'll tinker with it later. But yes, the hunting horn is absolutely there, and if you play it, you are him. You are that guy. You are who people love the most. Just to let you guys know. You guys are loved, don't forget. Now, into the last 4 weapons. Let's start off with the uncooler version of the other one, the lance, and here we go. Like when I said there was only 2 weapons that wouldn't get the fun tier, this is one of them for me. It simply wasn't my playstyle. I felt like I didn't go in enough, or not go in, it just didn't feel like I was that aggressive type. This is more of a play type where you are waiting for the monster to go in. You are parrying, you are just trying to do the pokey. It just wasn't for me, let's say. It is still a overall fun weapon, just it wasn't that S tier fun for me. And when it comes down to, what's it called, gameplay, this thing has gotten a different amount of updates that have made it better. Some are actually towards it, others just items that have made it better. But we'll get into what it did in the meta right now. With the lance finally coming into its time to be, guessed upon, it is going to get the 3 points this time. And for the first time in this entire list, it is not getting my fun point, or as I like to call it, the funny opinion one you guys get no say in. But I will say this, its Silkbind moves have really pulled through for it. It is definitely one of B, so get a point for that. However, its damage is definitely average. It's not exactly there, and it's not exactly above it. So, for the second time in this list, it's getting the B tier, where for all the reasons it should be, unlike the hammer that just doesn't have the damage to compete with the others, which is very unfortunate since the hammer is a beast of a weapon. Now, for the funner version of the lance, I like to call it the gun lance, and we're going to get into that right now. The gun lance is absolutely one of the more fun weapons in this game. It destroys the meter, in fact, because that's just how fun it is. If you haven't tried it, play it. It is definitely one of the weapons you will enjoy, and you will enjoy the play. I cannot fathom how much you will enjoy it. It is literally a lance but you have a bomb on the end of it and you bomb things. That's how fun it is. That doesn't make you excited. I don't know what will. As for how it is good competitively and Silkbind actually came through for it, and competitively we'll get into right now. And unfortunately, when it comes down to competitively, it gets the fun point, it gets the Silkbind point, but it does not get the S tier point. So we're gonna put it comfortably in S tier right here. And as for the last two weapons, the two guns, you know, the funny ones that are always S tier in every single game because goddamn they cannot be there. I'm not going to really get too deep into why I think they're fun. They are both exponentially fun weapons. They go hard, they really do. If you like those kind of shooter games where you sit back, where you do a lot of damage, and you have to do a lot of dodging unless you play heavy, which takes all the skill out of it. We're going to go with a starting one. We'll go with this one, the light bow gun. Light bow gun is S tier. There's not really much saying. Fun is there, Silkbind is there, and of course it is beyond the damage tier. It is the top 10 percentile of what it should be, absolutely destroying the competition at most times. And with the more skillful of the two, I would like to think, because you actually have to dodge. Now for the other one, fun is there, Silkbind is there, and of course the damage is there. Both weapons have their own taste. However, heavy bowgun I would say is the least skillful of the two. You kind of just sit there with a shield and they can do nothing about it, which is kind of funny when you play it, but when you think about it as an actual gameplay standpoint, it is kind of sad. Now, to finish this off, I would like to put these two in S tier because they belong, and just kind of organize what I think this would actually look like finally. Here is my final list. It absolutely goes hard. This is the definite list in my opinion. It is mostly, like, the 2 points that I give don't really give it that much oomph. This is mostly what you get when you put the list together, and this is just what damage kind of looks like. But I wanted to mix it up a little bit, put in my own opinion to, you know, make it a little bit more grandeur. But, like I said, it is just, this is what I think. This list goes how it goes. This is also just to end off Sunbreak, and this is what my final gift to it. This is it. This is the list of what I thought each weapon was, how fun it was to play, and with also scaling with how much damage it did. And if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button for more, and go watch the series of how Sunbreak's going right now. Trust me, it is absolutely funny, and the suffering is at large. And I'll see you guys in the next one.